Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I always love speaking after Atul because he covers a lot of my government-oriented talking points very ably, and that I don't have to repeat them later in the speaking sequence. It's a pleasure to rejoin friends on the days, Atul, Kiran, the Honorable Minister, Kami Navruti, everyone here in the auditorium this afternoon on a joyous occasion, the occasion of the 50th anniversary of the U.S.-India Business Council. And as Atul rightly said, the history and journey of the US-IBC has been a closely mirrored chronology of the US-India relationship, demonstrating and reflecting the enormous gains that we have made together, the progress that we have enjoyed, the innovation that we have unleashed. I mean, these become, words after a while, right? They're words you hear when you come to these sorts of events, but it's worth taking a moment to really reflect upon the magnitude of what we're talking about. The growth in trade, the growth in innovation, and the growth in connection. It's been remarkable. It's no accident, again, as Ambassador Keshav said, that we're here in Bengaluru to celebrate this Golden Jubilee. It's always great to be in Bengaluru and get away from Chennai's punishingly hot weather for at least a few precious days. But I love Chennai for many other reasons. I'm just saying that about the weather only. But it's not the only reason to come to Bengaluru. As the ambassador said, this is the epicenter of innovation, of startup culture and technology. It's where things happen. It's India's Silicon Valley. And it is in the vanguard and a driver of all of the progress that this relationship has been so privileged to enjoy over the last 50 years. And frankly, if you look at trend lines, it's a steady trend line up in years 1 through 35, 40, 45-ish. And then, boy, it just in the last 10 years, 12 years, the growth has just been remarkable. The trend line has gotten steeper and even more impressive than it has been over the course of this entire relationship. So we're celebrating what has come behind us, what we have done, what you have accomplished. But I think it behooves us, in the spirit of this Idea Summit, is also to talk about, the famous question, what next? Where are we going? We know what the past looks like. How do we draw from lessons of the past to realize a better and brighter future together? And so I think as we look at how to use business to go beyond business, I want to emphasize two kind of governing qualities in 4 areas. So I got a little bit of government organization in there. 2 qualities. Get out your pad. That's 2 qualities across 4 areas. I think this comes down to 2 things that are often talked about, but not often realized in relationships, in business, and in life. It's interconnection and it's follow-up. Those are really the 2 most important things that all of us here need to be thinking about as we move forward. We have a remarkable opportunity to do so in the wake of the compact agreement between President Trump and Prime Minister Modi, in wake of the leadership that both of those leaders are demonstrating in this relationship, and in the wake of and against the backdrop of things like the Trust Initiative, transforming the relationship using strategic technology. So how do we do that? Applying connection and follow-up. I think the first area is when we start to talk about these new technologies under the aegis of trust. That's AI and it's quantum and it's commercial space. We don't want to silo these things, right? We want to connect technologies, different areas of technology together, so that AI is supporting space exploration, so that everything we are doing is knit together in a meaningful and effective way. And I think celebrating the launch in the last couple hours, as Atul said, of Axiom, headed by an Indian astronaut, this is a reminder that commercial space in particular provides an arena and an opportunity for these technologies and your businesses and U.S. businesses to converge and cooperate and reinforce and innovate. It shouldn't just be AI here and technology B here and technology C here. How do we connect these things in a way that really produces results? One way we do that, and one way that technology is meaningful and sustainable, is through the creation and sustainment of an effective ecosystem. And I know, again, ecosystem is a word that is used frequently, certainly by me when I do speeches in Bengaluru, and I apologize to the Honorable Minister, who's probably heard me say that word 1,000 times. But it's important in the U.S. context, in the Indian context, because what we are all doing together with our partners in the state government and the union government is creating an environment of transparency, of consistency, of growth, of protection for intellectual property, of things that come together and encourage interconnection and are sustained through follow-up. And so that idea of an ecosystem that provides the infrastructure for all of these things to flourish is incredibly, incredibly important. Otherwise, we're just counting single wins, and single wins don't multiply. But things within a coherent framework, they do. I want to mention global capability centers. I know that there is a discussion later in the afternoon on this topic. One of great interest, I know Karnataka boasts the lion's share of GCCs in the country of India overall, and a lot of American companies leading GCCs, tied to GCCs. This is another opportunity to me to realize what GCCs can do strategically, to take these companies and these platforms and lean into the trend that we are seeing, which is research and development and innovation. GCCs driving the creation of IP, the creation of new innovations. GCCs linking into these areas of new technology that I mentioned earlier and that will be mentioned again many times over the course of the afternoon. These capability centers provide a platform with enormous potential. How do we interconnect them and follow up so that that impact is meaningful, that those results are quantifiable, and that that innovation is measurable? I think that's incredibly important. And the last thing I want to mention, and this is something that is a focus for us at the Consulate General in Chennai and for me personally, is when we talk about interconnection, one area where there is also enormous potential, but not always the greatest result in many different contexts, is cooperation between academia and business on research. It sounds simple. Research and development, bringing the expertise of a top tier or mid-tier or smaller university, there is power in all of those different approaches, together with a business that can provide a problem statement to these universities so that they can find research that addresses it. Businesses that can identify use cases for new and existing research that Indian universities partnered with U.S. institutions are doing, and U.S. universities do this pretty well. And we've got a lot of universities here on the ground partnering with Indian institutions of higher learning, IISc, Bengaluru, and Rice, only one example. These are top-grade research universities in the U.S., and these are formidable research universities here in Karnataka, Bengaluru, and India. How do we link their expertise together and crosswalk that over to business so that we can produce innovation, produce new ideas, commercialize those ideas, and benefit everyone involved? The synapses are there on the floor and just need to be picked up and connected. We can do that. And in that vein, I'm pleased to announce something that is a follow-on from a conversation we had in February during our Invest Karnataka talks, that we will be, we have in fact last week, made public a notice of funding opportunity for partners to build a mechanism that will bring together business and academia to do commercial research. This is something that we believe will be the first step towards a more sustainable approach that leverages the huge and apparent mutual benefit of bringing universities and business together to do R&D. And we're happy to be able to support, expedite, and facilitate that process. So it's my pleasure to be with you all again this afternoon. It's my pleasure to be with friends on the days, and I look forward to hearing the rest of the discussions to come. Thank you very much.